Hello and welcome to the show. Over the past 11 weeks, we've visited a variety of agribusinesses and we're starting to notice some common themes emerging. They include, in no particular order, the necessity of planning, of having a mentor, advisors or a network to be able to call on, establishing a niche and knowing the need you satisfy for your customers or the industry. Business is lonely and it can often be really hard to see the big picture. Many owner-managers don't know where to go to find the help and advice they can trust. But one New Zealand organisation has stood out for us time and time again: the Icehouse. The Icehouse was set up in 2000 to provide courses and ongoing support for all aspects of New Zealand businesses. I talked to its founder, David Irving, and asked him what had inspired him back then.
I came across these things called SMEs, and I hadn't thought of the term, and they're known as small and medium-sized enterprises. And I thought about, well, who leads these entities? And these people are managers, yes, just like I'd been in corporate, but more than that, they were owners. So they owned it and managed it. How did they get their learning? What access have they got to learning? As a corporate leader, I'd gone to Stanford, I'd gone on a 9-week program. Where was their Stanford? And why did they need it? Well, as you thought about it more, these people are alone. They're not like corporates, surrounded by support. They're alone. And they're alone in a small entity, so their experience and exposure to things that are going to come up in their work life was minimal, if any. They didn't have boards, many of them. Many of them didn't have advisors. And frankly, their accountants didn't really understand them. Their lawyers, well, and their bankers, so they didn't have access to knowledge. And I knew that they were going to come across things that would get in their way, that would cause them problems, areas where they didn't even know what they didn't know. So we had to provide a learning experience for them.
David assembled a team and began planning the owner-manager program.
Early on in it, I started to think about the agri sector. Why would I do that? Well, the agri people, it's such an important sector to the country. The people who are farmers, they don't only manage, own, they live on it. If anybody's totally engrossed in their business, those people are. And so the need for those people to get removed from their business, to go away to think about what's required for their future, matters such as succession, which is such a challenging issue in the agri sector. But also just the same things of how do you delegate well, how do you grow your business? Is it just a matter of buying your neighbour's farm? What's your real capability? What resources do you need? What funding do you require? The same sort of learning as the owner-manager program, but in its own right, the agri sector, there's something different about people off the land. They're deep-rooted, they're very considered, they're stunning people, and I felt they deserved their own program, and so we'd started with that program and ran it for many years.
Chris Woods is a professor in the business school at the University of Auckland. She helped write and run the owner-manager program at the Icehouse and also saw the need for an agribusiness program.
Well, I could give my personal reason, which is that I'm a farmer's daughter. My brother's a farmer, grandfather, uncles, cousins, and I love that particular part of our business community. I also think that they face some really interesting challenges. Some of those can relate to family being involved in the business, and while a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, probably around 70%, have family involvement, when you're living on a farm, you're living on the farm, you're working on the farm, and so there are often a number of different generations. So that's one dynamic. So the focus wasn't on telling the farmers how to be good farmers. They already were very, very good and very successful farmers. But it was to look at conversations and explore conversations again around sustainable growth of the business, to look at the business of farming.
The agribusiness course ran separately for 7 years before being incorporated into the owner-manager program.
Going on the Icehouse for me has been an awakening. The amazing thing I got out of it was that I had the same crap as everyone else.
Since I've done Icehouse, we've increased our turnover by over 30 million.
It gave us the insight to know that we could actually grow a really serious business.
Well, it's sort of come to be what I'd call a business hub. It's a very strong networker. But it has two major components to it. It has businesses that are in a startup stage and businesses that are in an established stage. What I was just talking about before were the businesses that are in an established stage. So we call those people sort of owner-managers. The business is up and running, been going for 5 years, it might have been going for 20, 50 years. It could be intergenerational, but it's an owner-manager running it. So those programs that I mentioned, that's what we do for those people. For the startup side, it's quite a different world really. Their world is ideas and getting proof that those ideas will work. And then creating, what we did is creating an incubator. An incubator is just what it is to a woman. It's for a young child. It's looking after the young early stage business. And so they come in, they're resident often in the Icehouse. Their need is to enable them to find their first lot of money. That's the crucial thing, and that money becomes their life for the next sort of up to 5 years. But we try to nurse them along, help them to learn what it takes to grow a small business into a reasonable sized business.
The Icehouse has played a key role in many of our successful agribusinesses. We'll hear their stories after the break. The Icehouse programs and networking has helped many of our agribusinesses. We talked to a few people about their experiences.
My name's Dave Rothel and I own a beekeeping supply business. It's a result of a merger between two businesses, one in North Island, one South Island, and it literally came into being on the 1st of April this year. So I ran a business that provided plastic hiveware into the industry, and my business partner from the South Island was a broader supplier into the industry. So we've since merged to a company called Ecritech, and now we're a nationwide beekeeping supplies company. I've delivered on some of the owner-manager programs, I've sat in on them. So I've been involved with the Icehouse for 14 years through those various mechanisms really. I guess from a mentoring perspective, it's always been about focus, understanding where the business is at that point in time you engage with them and what they're looking to achieve, and getting them to focus on the milestones and the things they need to achieve to get them to the goal, and then bringing the resources to bear to help them get there. So it's reaching out into the Icehouse network, bringing in specialists, and then helping them set the goals and really mentoring them and helping them achieve the milestone by milestone, to get there. So it's a combination of enabling them to figure out what's important and then helping them bring the resources to them to get there. If you look at the history of the Icehouse through its 14 years, certainly what I've observed in terms of its growth, but also the growth of the companies it's been involved with, there's been incredible success. So, success tells the story. And for anybody looking to come on a business program or get some mentoring advice, what I would say is look at the track record and look at the level of success and get some references. But I'm sure that anybody coming through an Icehouse program will be delighted with how they are helped.
I brought the produce company back in early 2001, and it was a great little business, but it really centred around two major contracts. A few years after running the business, we'd lost both those contracts through a bidding process, so we really had to take a look at the business and how we could turn it around. And that's when I was introduced to the Icehouse through a friend. I ended up going on the owner management program run by the Icehouse, and as a direct result of that, we identified that we should sit at the top end of the market, which has been hugely successful for us.
I'm Peter from Foodbox. Foodbox is a fruit and veg home delivery company. It started off as a kind of a set box scheme, and it's slowly morphed into a fully customisable service now. And just recently we've moved it into a full kind of fresh product offering. So it's your fruit, veg, meat, fish, eggs, dairy, bread, everything you run out of every week. We're trying to stop you from going to the supermarkets during the week time.
Now tell me about your association with the Icehouse.
I'm actually doing the owner-manager program at the moment, and what kind of came about being on it because I was having a few difficulties. We were in our 6th year, I think it was, when I decided to do it, and to be honest, we'd just had a fantastic run for 5 years, and then at the beginning of the 6th year, what we were doing wasn't kind of working anymore, and we were trying to work out what was going wrong. A friend of mine had actually gone through a problem with his business earlier, and he'd enrolled in the Icehouse program, and he did it. And I must admit, to be honest, when he first started, I was a bit sceptical, and it seemed like a lot of the things he was doing I'd kind of heard of before, but I hadn't heard of all of it. And then I just saw him kind of change in the way he looked at his business. He changed a lot, and he's grown into a much different kind of person. And the results of him have been outstanding, so I thought, oh, that's got to be good for us. And I mean, you don't know what you don't know. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So one of the things I was looking for was a group of business friends, if you like, just people who I could bounce ideas off and you know, just kind of share stories with. What's incredible is there's 25 of us on our course, and all completely different industries. Everyone's got exactly the same problems. It's exactly the same, it's just different industries. So for me, just having someone to bounce, well, I got the staffing issue, what would you do? Well, you know, I'd do this, and you're kind of like, well, I kind of agree with that, and that really, really helps. Another thing is it's good to kind of be able to tell some people some stories you may not have wanted to tell anyone before. And I'd heard that might happen, and we sit down at, you know, lunch type thing, and on the first day, and people just opened up all these things, and I was like, shit, I haven't got anything like that to open up about, but you know, obviously people were feeling comfortable, and some people had things they really wanted to say and probably hadn't said it for a long time, or said it to anyone before. As an owner manager, you're expected to do 12, 15, 20 different functions within your business. And if you look at a big business, they will have 12 or 15 or 20 people that do all those functions individually. So not putting too fine a point in it, you're probably doing an average job at a lot of them, and some of them you're doing really well, which is probably what helped you form your company in the first place. But to get to a point where it's going to be a bigger company and a more sustainable company, and something that's got some real value to it, which doesn't require you being there every day and running, you need some help learning the skills that you don't have. You also need to find out if the skills that you have, you might actually be really good at it, or you might think you're really good at it, but actually you're not very good at it, and you should employ someone else to do it, and you should go back and do what you did in the first place. So yeah, it's been interesting learning those kind of things. So basically with the Icehouse, I'm a firm believer if you put a plan in place and have someone kind of look at it and help you understand what the plan is and the outcomes and what you need to do to get there and follow it, well, it should work.
I'm Campbell Nash, I'm one of 3 partners at Catapult. We are an export consultancy, and we essentially work with New Zealand businesses to put the right products into the right export markets with the right customers. What that ultimately does is de-risk export development for emerging businesses around the country.
Why does Catapult base itself at the Icehouse?
The Icehouse is just a hive of energy and inspiration. So being here, we're surrounded by really exciting companies who we share a lot of ideas with, and we're seeing new ideas coming through. So we're often the first to find out what new businesses are up to. Gives us an opportunity to work with businesses right from the beginning and help them go on their path to growth and development from the get-go. I think the biggest challenge facing New Zealand agribusinesses is one that faces all businesses, and that is identifying where the opportunities lie internationally. The world's a huge place, and then finding partners they can trust.
The Icehouse is a service, a business and a community, and it's constantly evolving to meet the changing needs and challenges faced by owner-managers and entrepreneurs. So what's next for the Icehouse? The Icehouse has been helping Kiwi businesses grow for over 14 years. The first question they often ask businesses is, where are you at now? So we decided to ask them the same. Liz Witherspoon is the Director of Growth and Coaching.
Kirsty, we're on a bit of a mission or a crusade to see better performance out of the New Zealand economy. You know, we know that our economy could perform better, and our vision is a New Zealand economy where businesses and ideas thrive. So our focus is on helping owners and entrepreneurs to build the skills to have the capability that they need and to give them the support that's required to unleash the potential that sits within those businesses. So that means we're doing some of the same things we've always done, running programs. Increasingly, we're working with businesses one-to-one through some coaching and advisory services, doing the kinds of things that we know, having spent 14 years working in this space, will have a positive and material impact on the owners and on the businesses that they're running and growing.
Now, the Icehouse used to have a specific agribusiness program, which has now stopped. Why did that stop?
For a number of reasons, but the most significant was that whilst we initially realised how significant the agri sector is to New Zealand and how important primary industry is to the New Zealand economy, we learned that the issues that were facing agribusinesses were actually the same issues that are facing businesses in all other industry sectors. Because we're not trying to teach business owners or agribusiness owners to be better farmers or growers or to be more technically competent, at whatever the agribusiness they're in, but how to be better business people, we began to realize that what we were doing in our owner-manager program was as relevant to people in agribusinesses as it was to anyone else. And in some ways, to bring them into an environment where they were mixing with businesses in different industries could create even greater learnings for them.
Agribusinesses have some quite unique issues that they face. How do you deal with that?
We are considering again, as we look forward, what our offering should be and whether we should be, once again considering an agri-specific, longer journey offering. But in the meantime, we've designed and developed some shorter workshops, what we call ice blocks, specifically focused on the agri sector. We've got a one-day block that looks at planning and strategy and a two-day block that looks at the same thing just in a little bit more detail. And what that allows is for couples or family members to come together into that environment, which is unique. We discourage that in our owner-manager program, but agribusinesses are different, and often there's a very legitimate reason why learning together or experiencing something together makes sense for the individuals and for the business. And so those 1 and 2 day workshops give us the opportunity to do that. And we will consider going forward what else it makes sense for us to be doing to support this sector. For us, historically, we have been very much a moment-in-time organisation, where owners or entrepreneurs came to us looking for very specific needs or support. Now we are trying to look at how do we engage with our customers over a longer period of time. So to try and continue to hook up the people that are in this ecosystem in New Zealand with each other so that they can build meaningful relationships with people that they might not otherwise have been able to do without our help and support.
So business is quite a lonely place to be. What is it about the Icehouse network that can really benefit somebody?
The breadth of it. 14 years, dealing with, quite a diverse network of people, from funders to educators to other business owners to entrepreneurs here and overseas. Gives us quite a large network and quite a diverse network. And a network that people might not otherwise think about tapping into. New Zealanders aren't always that forward, around reaching in and trying to grab hold of people who can help them. We're a bit backward at coming forward sometimes. And so what we've found is that when you have a relationship with an organization like us, because you've done something with us, or our brand resonates and aligns, with you in some way, being able to tap into that and say, who do you know that that being introduced to might benefit me? And so I think it's the diversity and the breadth and depth of that network that really is unique. And really create some opportunities for us and for our customers.
Liz, will there always be a need for the Icehouse?
Kirsty, the Icehouse will always be here, and there will always be a need and a purpose for what we do. There will always be the need for businesses to be able to reach out to someone for the trusted support and advice they need when things get a little bit tough, or when you don't know exactly where it is you should go next, or you've lost your confidence a bit, or you need to build skills. There will always be a need for this organisation to be doing the things it's doing, particularly given our emphasis on making sure that we are moving one step ahead of what maybe others can see coming, and anticipating the support and the skills that New Zealand businesses will need and New Zealand owner-managers will need. So yes, there will always be a need for the Icehouse, and we will always be here to provide the support and the trusted input that we have been offering for the last 14 years.
Campbell Tyson will continue to work with the Icehouse in the next series of Thinking Forward. So we think it fitting that its founder, David Irving, has the last word.
The Icehouse is a place of learning. You get an all-round knowledge of the capabilities that are required to run a stunning business. And you take that back to your firm and you learn how to implement it into your firm. And you engage your staff, your leading players in particular, in the opportunity that this business has now got. And it was an opportunity that you didn't know before you came on that program. You came on in faith, and you got the experience, and you take it back, and you engage your company in it, and guess what happens? Up goes the revenue and up goes the earnings. And the Icehouse enable you to do that.